When you got into homeschooling, you might have thought, we homeschool so my kids aren't going to have anxiety. We're going to monitor their screen time, their phone use, their social media. They should be fine. But there's one more that I see has crept into the homeschooling world that so many homeschoolers haven't caught on to. And look, I know those things are real. They are contributing factors. There's no doubt about it. But people don't talk about something critical, and that's what's being taken away from children. And usually it's something that happens because parents are being good parents. My name is Daniel Moss, and I've been homeschooling my kids for over 2 decades now. And I've made this mistake a lot. And today I want to make the case for what's driving a lot of the anxiety that we have in our youth these days, show you exactly how it shows up in homeschooling environments, and give you a clear picture of what to do instead. So let's get into it. So here's the idea, simple as I can make it. We already touched on a few different contributing factors, the phone, the screen time, social media. Sure, those are real. We got to be careful with those things. But in today's day and age, we're so obsessed with making everything easy for children. We think that if something hard happens to our kid, that probably means that there was some dereliction of duty for us as a parent. Like we weren't there for them. We didn't show up when they needed us. And they got bullied. They got sand thrown in their eye. Or they struggled on this thing over here and we weren't there. We should have been there to help them. And the problem is that as much as that's a well-intentioned thing, kids more and more are growing up believing they don't have any kind of power over their life. They have no control over their life. They're not capable of directing their lives. William Stixrud and Ned Johnson in their book, The Self-Driven Child, they talk about this and they call it the locus of control. And there's either an internal locus of control that comes from within you and you believe you can make things happen in your life, that you're capable, or you end up with an external locus of control where you believe everything needs to be dictated to you, and you end up with like this inability to initiate things, to be a self-starter. Employers comment all the time how it's hard to find a young employee who will actually have some initiative. William Stixrud and Ned Johnson had this to say about an internal locus of control. A healthy sense of control is related to virtually everything we want for our children. Physical and mental health, academic success, and happiness. And the opposite is equally true. A low sense of control equals what they call the most stressful thing in the universe. Is that an overstatement? I don't know. Ned Johnson and William Stixrud say there's a lot of science to back this up, a lot of research to back this up. And in their book, they document all that. So the question oftentimes isn't really what are our kids being exposed to? The question is, who do our kids think are in control of their life? And if the answer is themselves, then they're going to have a lot of resilience, internal drive, and confidence. And if the answer is someone else, even if it's a loving someone else, they develop anxiety, helplessness, and dependence. And here's where it gets uncomfortable for us as homeschooling dads. The reason why this mistake is so hard to catch is because it doesn't really look like neglect. It looks like parental involvement. It looks like a caring parent. Let me walk you through how I've seen it play out in other homeschools as well as my own. Number one, you choose absolutely everything about their education. Everything. Everything they learn, when they learn it, where they learn it, how they learn it, everything. And I get the temptation behind that, but what's really ironic about it, and you can watch some of my prior videos, especially when kids are young, they need a lot of just love and attention and attachment to their parents. And then once your kid's 8 and above, things start to ratchet up a little bit. You start to structure time for learning, but you're still not really structuring the content. You're there to be a consultant in their life. And then once they hit sort of 12-ish, hit puberty, then it's like off to the races. And if you did the first 2 stages really well, your kid should be good. They should enjoy learning. Number 2 is you rescue them from hard things. When they're struggling with something, anything. And this varies from age and developmental stage and all that kind of stuff too. But just generally speaking, it is a hindrance on your child if you're always rescuing them from things that are difficult. They need to do something difficult, learn that they can do it without dying, but they can learn that they can do it, that they can persevere. But if you come in and you fix it for them when things get hard, then all they had was the frustration, and they didn't have the lesson of, you can do it. Number 3 is we overschedule their days. And so I see kids all the time where they've got piano, dance, gymnastics, softball, baseball, basketball, soccer, church, Wednesday youth group, co-ops on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then the poor kid still has to do all their studies, math, English, science, history. The kid is just slammed with scheduled stuff. Peter Gray talks about how critically important it is for unstructured play. It's like actually way more important than the structured play. I would recommend you read his book, Free to Learn. And the problem with this overstructured life is similar to the other stuff. It's just simply a kid just doesn't know how to even take account of their life. They don't stop and think, this is my life. I have control over my life. I got to think of what is important to me, what matters to me. I got to start taking account of my time and how I use my days up. And they don't really have that because they're just so freaking structured that they just go along with the flow and they never develop that muscle. Number 4 is you answer for them. Let's say you're sitting there, you're at a co-op, a parent says to the kid, hey, so did you like class? Just let little Jimmy answer the question. Let little Jimmy have their own ideas, their own thoughts. Even if you don't necessarily like exactly what's coming out of their mouth, give them the autonomy of that. Let them speak, let them learn, let them experience that. Number 5 is pulling your kids away from difficult relationships. This one was always super hard for me because there's times when you need to do this and it can be really hard to know the balance of it. And I know for me, it was real reflexive. Part of why I liked homeschooling was I could control who they hung out with, right? But when we constantly come in and rescue them from relationships and pull them from a difficult relationship, we're stunting them. Can you do it sometimes? Yeah, actually, sometimes you probably really have to. But other times, it's just us overparenting, and we got to be really careful about that. I think what you want to do is you want to ask yourself, is your kid learning how to navigate difficult relationships? If they're not learning anything, then you're probably not giving them enough of it. So what do we do about this? What does it look like to develop a kid who has a strong internal locus of control, a sense that they own themselves and that they can make an impact? I think it starts with one question that you can ask yourself when these types of things arise. Am I treating my child like they're my property? Or am I just somebody who cares and recognizes that they need an actual hand on something? Because there's a version of help that hollows out kids. And then there's a version of help that helps build them up. And the difference is whether or not your involvement is going to add to their capacity. Is it going to help build them up and add to their ability to deal with these types of things? Or are you replacing them? Are you pushing them completely to the side and stepping in and taking it on for yourself? The thing that's really helped me as a parent more than anything is just realizing that my kids are not my property. I'm their steward. I steward over them. I'm their parent. So there's a natural way of things where I'm this figure in their life that by nature, I'm there to protect them and guide them. But at some point that really shifts to where it's teaching them how to protect them and guide themselves, right? But I think the last thing that really matters with everything I ever talk about on this channel is that you got to do it. You got to model it for them. If you have a hardship, you got to model staying calm and cool and collected. Don't cuss, don't yell, don't scream, don't fly off the handle, don't throw things. I would encourage you to do a lot of work on yourself. As an adult, you've brought your inner child and whatever traumas you had as a kid and whatever stories you believed as a kid. Maybe you were bullied a lot in school. Maybe your parents were like not really there for you, and maybe horrible things happened to you. I don't know. But you whatever it is, you brought these stories with you into your adulthood. Now you're an adult. You're a parent, and you're parenting a lot of times from these stories, and these things have an effect on your life. And so if you can't get a good handle on those stories and those beliefs and those traumas that you have with you in your parenting, then that stuff's going to trickle down into your children. So I would encourage you, and that's not to panic you, but it's just to encourage you to really get work done in that area of your life. And I have a book that has made the biggest impact on me. And I've read a lot of books on a lot of different topics, whatever, but this one book made a huge impact on my life, and it's called Personality Isn't Permanent. And it covers a lot of different things, but it will get into that particular topic too. And I would say you got to really take a look at that in your own life. Like, you as an individual, you can't control everybody else. You can only control yourself. And what are you bringing into the equation, right? So it always starts there first. So yeah, to close this out, definitely the anxiety thing's a real thing. But we get fixated on the things that are being added into a kid's life. And I think because so much stuff's being added into a kid's life and we worry about all these influences and all that, maybe that's part of why we go over the top on trying to protect them so much. If you read The Self-Driven Child by Ned Johnson and William Stixrud, you're going to see that you end up getting in that place where you start to take the locus of control away from the child and you make it about your control, and then they lose control and they lose sight of who they are, they lose their autonomy, they lose vision for their life, they become dependent. So we have to be really careful how we balance these things out. Because any kid who thinks that they don't have say over their life and they don't have the ability to make impact on their future is a kid who's going to be super freaking anxious. And especially if you as a parent are doing all these things that I've been talking about here because you're anxious. If you're anxious, your kids are anxious. They feel it. It trickles down. So again, starts with you doing the work in your life and then being mindful of asking yourself the question, am I the owner of them or am I their consultant? And with that said, this stuff's not easy. And sometimes we need encouragement. We need people in our life. We need brothers. We need sisters. We need people who have been there, done there, gone ahead of us, people who are struggling just like us. We need all of it. And I have a school community for men, and the link's in the description. I'm building the thing that I wish I would have known about or wish I would have had accessible to me back in the day when I started 20 plus years ago. And it's going to be awesome. It's new. I'm building it right now. Like the video, subscribe to my channel, drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think, man. Which one of these things do you struggle with the most? What's the hardest thing for you? Did any of these resonate with you? Where do you struggle with this kind of stuff where you know you're affecting the locus of control in your child's life and you're taking that away and you're making an external locus of control? How does that look in your life? I'd love to hear it. Anyway, you're the best. Have a great day. Take care.